button now.
Okay, well, hi everyone. Our group is the spatial group, so we're going to talk about spatial research. I'm Mariana, and my teammates are Gabrielle, Yasmin, Leanne, and Luke. So what is spatial research? An analytic method that uses location-based variables or maps to understand how places, the characteristics of places, and the people and things in places are arranged in space, as well as the reasons for these arrangements. Spatial research relates to factors such as locations and how these places impact us. Technological factors, including the explosion of location-based geospatial technologies, such as geographic information systems and political and social forces, have combined to drive and renewed awareness of and interest in spatial thinking. So what is spatial thinking? Spatial thinking can be defined as constructive combination of cognitive skills comprised of knowing concepts of space, using tools of representation, and applying processes of reasoning. It allows people to use space to model the world, real and theoretical, structural problems, find answers, and express and communicate solutions. Concepts of space such as location, dimensionality, continuity, pattern, spatial association, network, and proximity are the building blocks for spatial thinking. Spatial thinking often necessitates complex reasoning. So some key terms, rooting from place, we have location. So this is specific fixed point in space where a place exists. Natural and built environments. Local is material setting in which people conduct their lives at a particular location. Human, cultural, and natural characteristics. Virtual sites such as social media, websites, or other online communities. And then sense of place is meaning attached to a particular location and locale. Cultural products, and political entities.
Some other key terms that we found are space, which is the social construction imbued with experience and meaning. It results of the daily activities that happen in a space and the symbols and forms in that space, and the meaning that inhabitants and other users make of those places. Oops. Strengths of spatial research, there's quite a few. We can use multiple lenses to study problems in education and society. Multimodal, so we can use lots of different things to collect data, such as diagrams, maps, pictures, narratives, and interviews that give more information in detail. Technology can be used, like GPS and location services, to help collect various data measures. Visualization, the nature of this research method is very visual and allows for easier and effective communication of results. There's an integration of diverse data sources. It allows for both qualitative and quantitative analysis of data. We have the spatial analysis, which allows researchers to integrate location-based information into their analysis. And findings of research using spatial analysis can be displayed visually, which is appealing to a variety of audiences. And maps that present information on spatial analysis can be interactive or static, so showing the data at a particular point in time. General uses of spatial research, we have place inquiry. Any form of empirical research that collects specific data draws on these data explicitly during data analysis, and or generates insights that speak back to the role of place in answering research questions in education-related studies. Examples of this include traditional data collection methods like ethnographic or case study approaches, GIS, GPS, or mapping. These methods are commonly used in fields like geography, urban planning, and sociology, but they have emerged as theoretical strategies in education recently.
How is spatial research used in education? Theoretical frameworks and methodological, that's a mouthful, approaches grounded in place have great potential to unmask deep social, economic, and environmental inequities without the limitations inherent in some traditional approaches. For example, as transdisciplinary concepts that span all interpretive perspectives, space and place allow researchers to apply multiple lenses on a particular phenomenon, which may be particularly illustrative for studying complex educational and social problems. Drawing on theories of space contributes in significant and important ways to subtle and more sophisticated understandings of the competing rationalities underlying educational policy change, social inequity, and cultural practices. Understanding spatial thinking in terms of human development and learning is a necessary precursor to discussions in current trends and interests in teaching spatial thinking. What questions are best addressed using spatial research? Geographic accessibility. Where are the educational institutions located, and how accessible are they to different populations? Are there disparities in access to quality education based on geographic location? Resource allocation. How are educational resources distributed across different regions, for example, funding, teachers, or facilities? Are there patterns of inequality in resource allocation that correlate with socioeconomic or demographic factors? Demographic and socioeconomic factors. How do student demographics vary across different school districts, such as ethnicity and income levels? What are the spatial patterns of educational attainment or dropout rates? The impact of environmental factors. How do environmental factors around schools affect student health and academic performance, such as pollution or green spaces? What is the relationship between neighborhood characteristics and school attendance rates? How can we use spatial thinking in our research? Findings of research using spatial analysis can be displayed visually, making it appealing to various audiences. One example is maps, which include roads, highways, crosswalks, places that bring up memories or make you feel a certain way to shift your perspective. Specific locations or things within that location, relationships to areas and things that are located within that area, and common locations. Provides insights to major locations that inspire multiple participants to create trends.
Now, a little bit of how we conducted our spatial research project. We conducted spatial research to answer the question, what places have influenced you in becoming a teacher? For this survey, the participants selected were students in graduate course EDFA FN 508. Methods used to collect data. An email was sent to all participants, 25 graduate students, asking them to submit 3 to 5 photos of places they felt influenced them in their teaching career. Participants were then asked to provide a brief description as to why they chose each photo. Participants were provided a link to a Google Drive to upload their submissions to our analysts. Data analysis methods. We waited 4 days after asking participants to post their pictures and then did an initial review of the data. After our initial review, we compiled a list of common themes and tallied our findings. We individually looked at the images and recorded the number of times that common images themes appeared. We individually read all the narratives and used inductive coding to determine common themes. Some things that we noticed emerging in the narratives were positive words, negative words, atmospheres in which participants worked with students, student teaching experiences. The data. 14 TCNJ graduate students participated in our data collection. We received a total of 47 images with brief descriptions. 32 of the 47 images were of a school or university. Preschool was also included. 33 of the 47 images were of a school or school-related function, including class trip, extracurricular activities, staff events, and more. 7 of the 47 images were of the College of New Jersey. This data was last checked August 3rd, 2024 at 8:42 p.m.
All right, now we'll go over the findings. So some trends we noticed were Participants across the board, majority, included photos of the following places when answering our question. A lot of people included their college or university where they were getting their teaching certification, schools in which they student taught in, schools they attended themselves as children, schools which they work or worked in. We also had pictures of the home that people grew up in, and a few were like a graphic image of a house that represented that home. Almost all pictures were taken, photographs of places either found on the internet or taken by the participants. Some photos were graphic images. Additional findings. 13 positive experiences that led participants to pursue a career in teaching, 4 negative experiences that led participants to pursue a career in teaching, 9 participants stated that student teaching experiences reaffirmed their career choices. 6 participants stated that their first experience teaching took place in other environments such as substituting, tutoring, coaching, daycare jobs, or camps. Strengths and weaknesses of methodology. So some of the strengths were that the images provide for a visual, which better supports memory retention. It provides a means for qualitative and quantitative analysis of the research data. The images and narratives provide a more personal aspect to the research because we got those, the story that went with it. It generates many perspectives as to what caused people to teach, so it's not fixed. Some weaknesses. When we look solely at the images and the brief description provided, we are limited in our information. We didn't have like background information, like how old was the person who gave us the data? Where do they live? Like that types of stuff. We would need additional information. It's dependent on qualitative measures. It lacks additional background knowledge and relative information, like I just said. And then the descriptions did not always generate a clear answer or interpretation. So refinement may be needed. Like we would need an opportunity to actually ask them additional questions. Additional takeaways. We were pleasantly surprised with the amount of participation we got in our survey. We think additional background information would make our spatial analysis more thorough and complete. We enjoyed reading and looking through the data because the images and their descriptions provided a personal connection to the data, making it more meaningful. Many took the pictures to be literal, meaning this is the college I got certified in. We thought this was interesting as there were not as many submissions compared to the whole that dealt with indirect meanings, such as some who submitted their home, like, a more deeper image. Okay, and then this is a list of our references. Thank you for watching our presentation.